Dear friends, children always come up with very fascinating questions. There is a humorous story about a little girl who was watching her mom doing the dishes in the kitchen after Christmas. And then she suddenly noticed that some of the hairs on her mom's head, strands of white hairs. And then she was very curious and asked her mom, "Why, mom, some of your hairs are white compared to the other ones, black?" And her mom said, "Whenever you do something wrong and make me unhappy, then one of my hairs turns into white." And then the little girl thought for a minute and said, "Mama, how come that grandma's hair is full of white on her head?" So we always have these kind of questions, interesting ones, from our children. In the year 1953, Dr. Jospeh became world-famous physician for developing polio vaccine. His brother, Lee Sack, won the world fame as an outstanding psychologist. Then Dr. Lee wrote a popular book called My Father, My Son. This book speaks about the relationship between fathers and their sons. It starts with a very touching scene. He writes, "One cold winter afternoon, my father waited with me in Penn Station for the train that would take me away to the Army Center where I would begin my military service. He hugged me tightly, kissed me on the cheek, and told me goodbye in a choked voice. As I walked toward the train, I looked at my father, who was waving gently to the 17-year-old son. And suddenly I noticed that several people there were watching us with amusement. Apparently, the kind of warmth and intimacy shown by this father and his son was something foreign or strange to them. Dr. Jonas concludes by saying, "Don't be afraid of your emotions, of telling your father and son that you love him and care for him." What is true of fathers and sons in this story is also true of mothers and their daughters. And this brings us to the feast of the Holy Family we are celebrating today. From a practical point of view, this is one of the most important feasts of our liturgical year because it touches the very heart of our Christian life. Again, it also touches at the heart of God's will for us, for every person born into this world. God's will is not primarily doing something extraordinary or extremely difficult. It is not merely standing for hours in a social and charitable program. That's all good. But God's will for us, most of us, is primarily to be a good parent, to be a good spouse, then to be a good son or to be a good daughter. And this is what makes today's feast more meaningful and relevant for us. This brings us back to the basics of Christian family life by bringing or taking Joseph as our model if you are a father, taking Mary as your model if you are a mother, and taking Jesus as your model if you are a young person. Once a retreat master was giving retreat for a group of men, and he told them, "Joseph is a perfect model for you." But one of the fathers objected. He challenged the retreat master by saying, "Joseph is not a perfect model for me because he was a saint. His wife Mary was sinless, and his child was Son of God. The retreat master paused for a moment and said, "Let me ask you a couple of questions. Did your son, young son, ever leave home for several days and you didn't know where he was? Did you ever have to take your family to another country, a foreign country, because someone wanted to kill your child?" That man was speechless. He did not have any answers. And all these things happened to St. Joseph. The retreat master's point is this: we sometimes tend to take or tend to forget that Mary and Joseph had their own personal trials, tribulations, and hardships that demanded every ounce of their faith and their trust in the divine providence as a family. In today's gospel, we hear how Joseph protects his family from King Herod's hatred or wrath by taking Mary and child Jesus and fleeing to Egypt. It was a journey marked by fear, uncertainty, and many hardships on the way. Yet Joseph obeyed God without any hesitation. His courage teaches us that authentic fatherhood and leadership are rooted in our faith, integrity, and deep obedience. Gospels tell us that Joseph was a just or a righteous man, and here to be a just man or person means more than being fair and law-abiding. It means to live in the right relationship with God, our Father. Just as the Holy Family survived all its crises through their love for each other and their faith in God, let us pray that our families will be able to face their challenges. Jesus was born in an ordinary family to teach us that what it means to be human. Jesus was taught by his parents, and he faithfully obeyed them and loved them. Thus, Jesus has experienced everything about being the son of a human family. Today's gospel and the readings and the Vatican Council remind us that family is a domestic church, a place where faith is taught, virtue is formed, and love is learned. On this feast of the Holy Family, let's ask ourselves, is our family a domestic church?